Hey, it's the preacher here, and we're going to do another dinner for a crowd. This time we're going to cover the topic of smoked chicken. And the reason, and I say this every time, I cook for our church on Wednesday nights, and we're a small church. I cook for anywhere from 25 to 40 people, and I always plan for a little over 40. This time I'm going to do smoked chicken. And I always say this, the reason I do, the way I pick my menu is I look at my local grocery store and I see what they're running on special, what meat they're running on special. And this week they're running chicken quarters, which is a leg and a thigh, and they have a 10-pound bag for $3.20 plus 10% added. So basically when it's all said and done, you get 10 pounds of chicken legs and thighs for $3.50 roughly. So for $7 I got 20 pounds of chicken quarters, and that means that the meat portion of this meal, which will be smoked chicken or barbecued chicken, only cost me $7. Now I'm going to have some work involved and I'm going to have to do some cooking, but that's okay. Today's my day off, and it's raining. I was wanting to do this about 10 o'clock. It's 12:30. It's still raining, but I looked at the radar. It's almost done. So I'm going to go ahead and start prepping chicken, and that way when it's done we can light some charcoal and get some wood smoking and get going. So let me tell you what we've done thus far. Last night before I went to bed, I mixed 1.25 cups of salt with 1 gallon of water and heated it on the stove till it was fully dissolved. Then I let it cool down. I actually put it in the refrigerator and chilled it down. Then I used my 3-gallon crock. Let me take this off there. In my 3-gallon crock, I laid the chicken. I didn't know how much would fit in here. I just began laying chicken quarters. Here's one right here. I just began laying these in there just like this. And I didn't pack them. I just laid them in a circle and continued to stack until I was full, and it held all 20 pounds. Then I poured 1 gallon of liquid, and I needed enough liquid to cover it. It didn't take quite 1 gallon, but I did cover it. Now what happens is this meat wants to float to the top. So I put a plate over it with some weight on it, put saran wrap over that, and I put it in the fridge, and I left it in the fridge overnight. So now that it is soaked in the brine, a salt brine, we're going to get it out and we're going to trim some of this extra skin off, because nobody wants to eat extra smoked chicken skin. Now, why did we brine the meat? Brining the meat, I'm no scientist, but it goes in there and it does something to the proteins and causes them to retain moisture. And so it gives flavor and it causes it to retain moisture. And we need it to retain moisture because this is Friday, my day off. I'm going to serve this next Wednesday. So what I'm going to do is cook it about 90% of the way today on the grill. That way when it comes time to serve it, I'm basically just heating it up and heating it through, and then I'm going to put it under the broiler and crisp the skin up. So I need that salt to help this retain moisture because it's going to be frozen in the fridge for about 4 days. So with that being said, I have a rack over here, a little grate, over a commercial size sheet pan. What I'm going to do is trim the fat off this. I'll just throw the extra fat in that tub, and then I'll set these over there and let them dry and let the brine dry off of them. Then we'll put some rub on them. We'll go light the fire. We'll let the rub sit on them for a little bit, and then we'll be smoking them in about an hour. Let's get started. Champ, go lay down. I don't want you breathing on the camera. You're always panting. Good boy. Let me just take a minute and show you what we're dealing with. Here's your basic chicken quarter. You've got your leg and your thigh attached, and I'm going to leave them attached for cooking. It's easier to turn them and handle them. But you also have this flap of skin and fat that goes under the leg, and there's no way that's going to cook up and crisp up, so I'm just going to cut it off. And so that's really all I'm doing on these, is I'm cutting off a big chunk of fat and skin that's extra. Then some of them have a big tuft of fat right on the, I guess would be the front part of the thigh, and I just cut that off because that's never going to fully render. And then occasionally, right here where their leg skin would meet their feathers, you have a little bit of, maybe a little bit, I don't know what you call the skin on a chicken's leg. I'll just cut it off. So that's what you end up with. And sometimes you have this little tuft of backbone, just kind of dangles. That ain't gonna, nobody's gonna eat that, so just go ahead and cut it off. So that's what I'm trimming up on each one of these. And we're back. Now, as you can see here, I'll slide this stuff out of the way. Lights are flickering. It's thundering outside. I ended up with, just in case you're wondering, this is 20 pounds of, as I showed you, thigh and leg connected. So I ended up with 27. I think I got 13 and 14. I got 27 wings and thighs. I mean, legs and thighs. So that's 27 legs, 27 thighs. That's 54 pieces of chicken. I'm looking to feed somewhere between 25 and 40. And probably closer to 40, because when you advertise you're serving barbecue chicken to a group of Baptists, they show up. If it was baked chicken, they wouldn't show up. Now, I don't want baked chicken. I'm not on a diet. But if you say, no, it's barbecue chicken, then they show up. So I trimmed it up, and just so you would know, I trimmed off 2 pounds, 1 ounce of fat and skin. So my 20 pounds of chicken has now become 18 pounds of trimmed chicken. I have them sitting on these racks so they can drain and drip dry. I'm also patting them dry. And I want to get as much of that brine off as I can. I don't necessarily think you have to rinse it. Sometimes people say, oh, you got to rinse that off there. You're going to turn around and shake salt of some kind on it. And so I'll just leave what's on there on there. I just want it dried a little bit so that it doesn't just steam in the smoker. I do actually want it to crisp as much as I can get it to crisp in the smoker. Anyways, this is just some rib rub. I made this. It consists primarily of Lowry seasoned salt, black pepper, chili powder, paprika, and garlic powder. And it's mainly for color. I know it's going to add some flavor, but when you put a red and orange colored spices on your chicken, you get that color when it cooks. And so I'm just doing this primarily for color. And it don't take a lot, and you don't have to cover both sides. I'll show you how I'm primarily going to put the flavor into it in just a minute. This is for color. Plus it looks good. You look down there and you see spices stuck to the skin of your chicken. People go, oh man, that's been rubbed. And they think that's really going to be good. And hey, rubs do make things better. I'm not going to deny that, but they're not everything they're cracked up to be. I know people who have barbecue pits and they add nothing to their meat. No rub, no salt, no nothing. So there, I only used about that much of the rub mix. And I'm just going to let that set, and it'll kind of bleach into or fade into that skin. Now, I got $7 in all the chicken that you see on the table. Hunt's, since 1890, Hunt's original barbecue sauce was 77 cents a bottle at the grocery store. It was on sale this week. So you're like, so is that your secret, is Hunt's barbecue sauce? I wouldn't care if it said Always Saved was in a yellow bottle with the little black S's on it. It doesn't matter if it's Hunt's, if it's Char Pit, if it's, whatever, any store brand, any knockoff brand. We're going to use this simply as our basting sauce. What you're going to do is get you some apple cider vinegar. Get you some barbecue sauce. You don't have to go out and buy, like Jack Daniel's number 7, made in whatever. I've got some really good barbecue sauce here that I got from Big Bob Gibson's. I'm not going to baste it on stuff while it cooks. Use the cheap stuff for that. Wet it down with apple cider vinegar. Put it in a squirt bottle. This is much thinner than it comes out right here because I've got this about probably 25%. I emptied one of these bottles into here, added 25% of Heinz, you can use whatever, apple cider vinegar. 25%. All that does is thin it down so that when you got it on the grill, you can baste it with a sauce. This sauce is just going to help you crust up that skin. The sugar in the sauce is going to caramelize and give your skin a little bit of a sweetness. And so it doesn't matter what kind of sauce you have. 77 cents. I bought 2 bottles. So as of right now, I've got less than $10 in all of this. That's cheap when you're talking about feeding the main course to 40 people. So that being said, since it's still raining, I'm going to stick these in the fridge and let them stay cool till we're ready to put them on the smoker, and let them continue to dry and drain. And then as soon as it stops raining, I'll show you how I got the smoker set up, and we'll get these things smoking. My smoker's heated up to 400. I don't want it that hot. I'll cool it back down here in a minute. But I am going to set this chicken on there and arrange it and get it going. All right, let me show you how I got the smoker set up. I'm primarily heating with charcoal, and I have a couple of oak logs in here, and they are just for smoke. I don't need a lot of smoke. This is small pieces of meat. Chicken doesn't need a lot of smoke. So I've just got enough log in there to give me some smoke. I'm going to roll it out of the way, and I'm going to close the damper, and that will that'll slow down my heat. I'd like to keep the I can get that to focus in there. I'd like to get the water off of it. You might be able to see it. I'm sitting right now at around 250, 300. It was around 4 when I put them in there. See how I kind of arranged them? I try to put the meatier pieces to the middle, and the not so meaty pieces to the edge. The heat tends to go right down the middle of this smoker. Anyways, I'm going to come back in about 30 minutes and check my temperature and my charcoal. And if I'm not getting enough smoke, I will roll the log into the smoker. Thing's kind of looking a little bronze. That's what we want it to look like. I'll stoke the fire. I came out after about 30 minutes and added a little charcoal to it. But here's what I do now. Remember, we mixed some apple cider vinegar and cheap barbecue sauce, 77 cents a bottle. We're just going to take it and drizzle it on there. Okay, now I just got a plastic throwaway fork because I don't have a fancy basting brush. But I'm just going to smooth out some of that sauce that I put on this chicken. I kind of got it where I wanted it with a squirt bottle. Now I'm just evening it out with a fork. Remember, if you're looking, you ain't cooking. Since our temp's a little low, we're trying to stay around 350. We were at 325 when I came out. I'll roll it back over there. That'll start the smoke again, and it'll help light those coals. Remember, when you're smoking, once you got your heat going and you're good and lit, don't get carried away and add too much charcoal, man. You'll spike this thing up to 450. Doesn't take much once you're going. Well, we had a little change of plans today. The rain was supposed to rain off and on in the morning, and it rained pretty solid till 2 o'clock. So we've had a bunch of rain. I think we had 8 inches before today, and I bet we got another 1.5 inches today. So we may be getting close to the 10-inch mark of rain this week. Anyways, I didn't get these put on the grill till 2 o'clock. And we had an event to go to tonight, so I had to leave here at 5:15. I thought they would be done by 4:30, 2.5 hours. But they weren't done, so I just added more charcoal and left them on the smoker and let them go. And then when we came back, the fire was, there was a little bit left. It was like 120 inside the smoker. And we got home at 8 o'clock. So anyways, I got 10 of the 20 pounds done. Here's what they look like. They got a nice mahogany color to them. You can see some of the spice rub that we sprinkled on. You can see the barbecue sauce has baked in, and we're not going to eat these. They have cooled down. I've had them out of the smoker for about probably 30 minutes. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take some cling wrap, and I do this, and you don't have to. I just think it kind of keeps it from drying out as bad. These are only going to be in the freezer for about 4 days, but the freezer tends to draw moisture out of stuff. So I put cling wrap in there and I just press it down so that it touches the top, just like that. Whatever moisture gets sucked out of these in the freezer, it'll stay inside that cling wrap. Then I'll take foil and I'll seal it tightly. I mean, obviously, if you were going to do this longer, you know, vacuum seal them or put them in a freezable container, but they're not going to get damaged in 4 days in the freezer. And I'll put the other 10 pounds on tomorrow and smoke those then. Anyways, that's how you feed a dinner for a crowd cheap. We got $7, $8 counting barbecue sauce. The way to heat these up is I'll set these out Wednesday morning on the countertop just like this. They'll be frozen solid. I'll set them out and let them thaw. And usually by about 3 or 4 o'clock, whatever I've got in here frozen is thawed out completely. I'll put it in the oven probably about 3:30. Put it in the oven on like say 250, 300. Leave it in there about an hour and I have it ready at 5:30. For sides, I'm making baked beans. I have some potato salad in just from Sam's, and I'll make some homemade coleslaw to go with it. So you can feed 40 people pretty cheap if you buy your meat when it's on sale and cook it yourself. Thank you guys for watching.